Well, I'm in Nerstrand today, and Nerstrand is in Rice County. And if you go back a couple of weeks ago, I was up in Dakota County in Randolph. So if we follow the railroad from Randolph, we're going through Stanton, then we're going through Denison, and we're going through Nerstrand, and that's where we're at today. And I made a video of those three, so in the annotations of this video, I'll plug those in at the end, so if you want to watch them, you can. And you know, the history here is pretty interesting. I ran across a guy, Osmond Osmondson, and I caught my interest because he was a carpenter in his early days, and he moved to the United States from Norway and made his way to Minnesota. And when he got into this area here, he wound up buying 240 acres. And when you look around here, that's a lot more land than this town is. And he was actually the founder of this town. He built a general store at the far end of town when he started making this town, as other businesses came in. And I don't know, maybe his thought was going to be that he would be close to the railroad tracks. He wanted to bring the railroad into this town, so he was one that was lobbying for the railroad, of course. But when he came in, he secured a post office for the town in 1878. And he had built a log house, then he had built a wood frame house, and then he built a brick house. And the brick house is still standing. And he built that in 1880. So I'll run over and I'll show you that house. It's an awesome, beautiful house. I'll just give you a look because it's private property now and other people are living there. But it's worth the look because it goes with this history. And it is on the National Register of Historic Places, so that's kind of cool. And then, let's see. Oh, yeah, so that's one other thing that he was doing that I found was that he was one of several that incorporated the St. Olaf's College in 1874. So he is a pretty prominent citizen by then, and he owned a general store, and people were moving into the town. So that kind of gives you an idea of what that is. The Minnesota and Northwestern Railroad, same railroad that's gone through all these towns that we were talking about, came in 1884 is when they started building the railroad, and then it wasn't too long, and Chicago Great Western, bought them out. So when we talk about things today, we'll be talking about the Chicago Great Western. And that railroad was finished by 1885, and that's when the depot was said to have been built. And we'll find that later today. I'm going to meet Ethan at his house. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of history. So in 1885, that's when this town really took off because the railroad was coming in. And the town was plotted in 1885. And then it was incorporated in 1897. And that was that was the year of the first city hall. And then the city hall was too small by 1907, and they built a new one. And I'll show you that one too because it's pretty cool. So the next thing is, and that's on the National Register of Historic Places also. So the next thing is, Osmond, we'll call him Osmond. Osmond buys this, he builds this store, and he's thinking the railroad's going to come in. He's, read the railroad, yeah. So the railroad comes in, and they plot their railroad, and guess what? His store is on the right-of-way, so he has to either tear it down or he has to move it. So the story is he moved it over to 2nd Street, And I'm going to take a drive through town. If I find it, I'll show it to you, but it's probably long gone. So that's kind of the history of this, and I'll bring up some more if I can find more history on this, and plug it in along the way. So I'm going to bring you over, and I'm going to show you Osmund Osmundson's house, and then we're going to come back and show you a little bit about town. So just wanted to stop and show you this house. Isn't this awesome? So back in its day, naturally, it was natural brick. But this is the house that Osmund Osmundson built. And it even says in the date, 1880 on the house. So how old is that? It's 1926 now. That's 146 years old if I'm doing my math right. That's awesome, isn't it? So this town hall was built in 1907, and it is on the National Register of Historic Places. I think it was placed on that in 1982. And there used to be a bell tower on the top. So I am going to walk down the street here. I have a street scene that shows that bell tower. So I'm going to walk down and get placed up and show you what this street looked like. Is a street scene that shows this building in it with all of its glory back in the day. Just cool street scene right there. Okay, so I'm at Ethan's place. There's Ethan over there.
Hello.
And he had bought a house, so he said there was a piece of wood here that says CGW on it. And I'm going to show you that piece of wood, and you let me know what you think. But I just wanted to show you this room a little bit. His house was built in,
1916.
1916, okay. So this house goes back to when they used cisterns for the water and actually coal rooms. So I just wanted to show you this because it's so cool. This is his coal room that we're in. And there's this coal chute right there. So this whole area, back up to where the door is, this whole area in here would have been all filled with coal back in the day for heat. I just think that's so cool. So that CGW you see there, and then it's Adams Lumber Company. What do you think that CGW is? Could that be tied to the railroad? I'm curious. Ethan's trying to find out if we're on public property or private property. So I'm going to plug in a picture. I'm not going to go much further because I don't want to trespass. So I'm going to do it. So the railroad's coming from here. It's coming through here. Now there's a siding, there's a siding on the far side of the depot. And then you'll see this elevator, this first one closest to us in this photo. And then looking down the tracks, you'll see another elevator, and that's actually on the other side of Main Street. And this older rusty one that you see here, that's not even in this photo, so I don't know. It probably wasn't built yet when this picture was taken, because all you're going to see is this one right here. This is the one that's going to be in this photo. You ready? Okay, right there. That's where we're at, right there. Okay, going back to the map, the 1900 map, this was First Street. But today, this is just an alley, and First Street is over there. And that was Second Street back in the day. So with this being First Street, looking at the 1900 map, the depot would have been over here. And when we look at I think it was the 1937 Harpo photos, the depot was over here. So I'm going to plug this in using the photo of the Harpo photo. So I'll put that up now so you can see where that is. And then when we look at this picture, you're going to see that same elevator you just saw in the last picture. You're going to see this top of it just above the depot roof. So we're up the street. I'm going to put up a map so you can see exactly where we're sitting here. And I know when we're looking from this street, that looks like it could be an old railroad bed, you know, an old berm. But I think we're thinking this was probably where the railroad was, just to the right of that. And this is why, when we turn around, you can see the ground over here just coming across, and then it's just cut off. And then down here, I think this is a railroad cut. And that's berms on both sides of the cut. So I'll give you a look at those signs, and then Ethan and I are going to take a walk and see what's down there. Okay, so I don't want you to get all excited and stuff now because there's a gate here. Because there you go. Foot travel welcome, closed to motor vehicles. Okay, so yeah, we're going to be heading down that way. And we're well into the cut now. And I don't know. Here we go. What's this? This is electrical of some kind.
Yeah, I was really
You can't move that, but
curious what that was.
Where's Sean when you need him? He'd know what this is.
Yeah.
I'll bet it's something to do with the railroad. I don't know.
Okay.
Has to be.
These look like like a signal tower or something, and then.
So now we're coming up to something here. This is, by the way, this is heading out towards Denison. Yeah. So signal towers of some kind or what? What do you think? 2 of them.
It's probably a pretty safe bet.
Now what's, you know what? I'm looking at this and I think this has maybe been dug up. I don't know. But yeah. So I don't know if you've ever been to my meet and greets, but Sean brings out all these electrical things, okay? So you know, he's got this beard, this black beard, and then he's got his glasses on, and he reminds me of a mad scientist. That's what I think about. And he's got all of these glass bottles with things in it and batteries and this and that and insulators, and he looks like a scientist, you know, going to do experiments. And it is the best thing when he sets all this up. It is just so cool. And I know some of those battery things came from something like that, so. That's all the railroad ties. This is pretty cool. Some more over there. So if you remember where we started, we were in a cut right off the bat. And now we have a raised bed. Thought I'd stop for a little look here. It's pretty deep on this side.
On this side almost looks like there could be something right there, but I guess it could just be...
Yeah, what is that now? But I think we're past where the spur came in. There were, you know, 2 or 3 spurs that came into the main line, and I don't think that's part of this, but you know, every knoll you look at sometimes it's like, is that railroad bed? Okay, we're still, that's where we're coming from. So now you can see this rail bed again. You can see how it's fallen off to the left and to the right. And this is dominant railroad bed here. So I'll go just a little further. So now it's high up that side. It's coming down and falls off over here. And I think we're going to end here for sure. So we're going to head back and I'll catch you at the street. So we are on 145th Street East, and you can see the sign there for the State Wildlife Area. And this is more of that rail bed that Ethan and I was just walking. And I'm going to go back in there for just a second to get some of that because you can't see it from the trees. But right across the street, it's crossing the street on an angle. And that's your rail bed right out there. And that's going to Denison, right?
Yeah.
Denison. Yeah. So I'm going to just see what I can get from a different angle here. Okay. I'm breathing like a hog that ran for 5 miles. You can see how far up we are. There you go. This thing is pretty high up. And it's gonna cross the road here. So I'm gonna put a picture from up there over right about there. So you can see that bridge when we come down from here. Okay, that's where we were. That's coming across the road. And you can see what's left of the berm on this side of the rail bed. So right in this area, right about here, this is about as close as I'll get. So, this next picture is the trestle that went over this road. So, I hope you enjoyed this. You know, I had a blast. You know, Ethan knows where all this stuff is, so he's showing me all this stuff. I love that walk down the rail bed. If we would have kept going, we would have made it all the way to this street, but I wimped out. It's my fault we didn't walk it.
It's pretty overgrown. To clear it out one of these days.
But hey, we still drove over here so you could see this and that bridge. And yeah, I had a great time here, and Ethan showed me that piece of wood, that print on the wood, and we were talking about that. Do you think that maybe back in the day they only shipped wood in stacks and they didn't cover them, and maybe somebody stamped something on the top of the top board so that they know by looking at it where it's being shipped to? You know, if that board was on the top and they stamped the name of the lumber company and the name of the railroad that was shipping it, I don't know, that's just a thought. Let me know in the comments what you think. Anyway, I'll catch you on my next one. God bless you all.